Hello, my name's Tyler Buck, founder of Sensible Soils. We are a regenerative, organic farm located in Auburn, Pennsylvania. We focus on providing delivery of our produce and pasture-raised eggs, and every week we bring them directly to you. Our goal is to make sure that we as stewards of the land are able to continuously improve the land as well as provide great delicious food at a reasonable price. Our focus is currently strictly on produce and eggs. Long term, we also intend to expand our production to include our chicken, turkey, pork, and ultimately beef production. I run this farm with my wife and 3 children. 3 daughters. I know people say it's a lot of estrogen and everything else, but I have a blast. Outside, we have a host of different animals. We've got chickens. Today we've got 31 of them. We've got 21 turkeys that are currently being raised for Thanksgiving, which is just around the corner. We've got a handful of cows. And we've got five pigs currently. So we've got boar and 4 gilts. So hopefully next year we'll have some piglets, and the following year we'll actually have some pork ready to be sold. So some of the things that we're trying to accomplish on this farm are, number one, first and foremost, making sure that our food is safe and delicious. Long term, what we're working on is reclaiming some of the old farmland. This property that we're currently on is on about 90 acres. And out of those 90 acres, about somewhere between 40 and 50 of them were cultivated at one point. Those areas that were cultivated, honestly, probably only 20 to maybe 30 of those should have actually been cultivated. The rest of those are in riparian zones and just bad land, honestly, to try and cultivate. There's a lot of runoff, a lot of streams that are running through the property, so all those areas get impacted. So our goal is not to touch those. We want to make sure from an ecological standpoint we continue to protect those zones and we continue to do our part as stewards of the land. Next up on our goals is to make sure that we are producing not just annual crop production, and annual things are like your lettuces, your corns, potatoes. Those are all considered annual production. What we want to do is make sure we're producing perennial crops. And perennial crops give you more food calories per acre than any of your annuals ever will. And it's very simple if you think about it. You've got a tree, and a tree has numerous layers. I mean, each one of those layers, you have leaves. Those leaves collect the sun, collect the carbon, pull it out of the atmosphere, and they're able to give you your crop production. Now annuals, they're not up here, right? They are way down here. The leaves won't get as big. There's just not going to be enough production there. So annual food production on a long-term scale, really it's worked for the last few thousand years, but it's because the populations continue growing. There's always been more land. As we're getting to the point where we need to be more efficient with our land, we have to have not just annual production, we have to have our perennial production, and frankly, even from there, having different levels of perennial production. So having brambles, which are, your raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, they're a little bit lower lying. And then above those, having your larger trees, apples, that type of thing. And then higher than that, we're getting into our nut trees that get even taller. That layered approach is what nature does. So having those levels gives you more food per acre. Now you're not going to get to 100% corn, right? You have to take land. So maybe you're going to be at, let's say, 30-40% of your land you're using for corn. No problem. But out of that, you're also adding in your 20-30% of your brambles, your 20-30% of your fruit trees, 20-30% of your nut trees, That inner layer is what nature does best. It provides an abundance of different foods. So our goal here at Sensible Soils is to make sure that we are producing not just short-term annuals, which is where we're at today, but we're also looking towards the future. We started planting our perennials, and we started planting our perennial trees. So I'm sorry, your perennial bushes and your perennial trees. And we've even started planting our nut trees. Combination of different things you need to do. So our goal, this is a regenerative solution. On top of all of this, we have our chickens, our pigs, our cows, long-term goats, and honestly, even currently we're going through our turkeys and our chickens that we process for meat. Those are going through at different times. And today we're already practicing rotating through those different levels. So the same thing, cows get the first cut, next come our pigs, next come our chickens. So we're continuing to produce more food on our property by layering everything. It's not a one and done. It's not just plow everything down, put down 1,000 acres of corn, pick it back up in the fall time. That's not the solution. The solution is trying to mimic what nature does. And what nature does is provide different levels, different times a year, ultimately giving us more food per acre than we could ever create on our own. So while we're not just letting stuff run wild, what we are doing is trying to control it as much as possible, but still letting nature dictate what we grow in an area. So hopefully that kind of gave you an idea of who we are, what we're trying to do, and gives you some insight. Maybe I changed your mind about sustainable agriculture. Maybe this is the first time you're hearing about it. Overall though, if you live within our 10-mile range of delivery in Auburn, Pennsylvania, I invite you to take a look at our page, sign up today, and we'll deliver our fresh food to you weekly. If you're not local to us, that's okay. We're still trying to figure out if we're gonna allow people to pick up delivery locally on the farm. But in the meantime, subscribe, follow us for more information, and be sure to check out our Facebook and Instagram pages. Have a good day.